Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel. We are gonna get a little bit technical today and we are gonna talk about how you guys can get footage just like me, specifically when it comes to the Pro National Race Day footage, which is quite a bit different from most of the footage that you guys will see on this channel due to the fact that helmet-mounted action cameras were actually banned at AMA sanctioned events a couple of years ago, which really threw a wrench in my program because, as you guys probably know, I really built this channel around the chin mount. Obviously, there was more to it than that, but I think the fact that I was using the chin mount back in like 2018, 2019 when I started this channel was a big reason that the channel took off. You guys and myself have come to expect a certain level of quality out of the POV footage on this channel, and way back then, chest-mounted cameras or bike-mounted cameras really were just terrible, and I was not happy with anything that was being produced back then. But thank goodness for my main sponsor, Insta360, for coming out with a range of cameras and mounting alternatives to get incredible looking chest POV footage and pretty much save the race day POV content. Any of the Pro National footage that you guys have seen from the last couple years, including this summer, is with this new and improved setup, and a lot of you guys have been asking me how I've been getting the footage. So here's a video explaining it for you. The biggest secret to getting incredible chest cam footage is choosing the right camera. The reason I was so stressed back in the day when the helmet mounted cameras were banned is because pretty much every video I had seen with a chest cam back then just looked terrible. And it's because everyone was just trying to use the standard point and shoot action cameras like the Insta360 Ace Pro 2 or just any of the other regular GoPros or DJI Osmo Actions. And I mean, yeah, the cameras are sick, but they have a very distinct purpose. They have one lens on them and they have a certain degree of field of view, and wherever the camera is pointing, that's what you're gonna get in your footage. So obviously when this is mounted on your helmet, like on your chin, wherever you look around, the camera is going to be pointing there. So that's great, that's ideal. You know, whenever you're on a dirt bike, you're moving your body around a lot. There's a lot of leaning forward, leaning backwards, sort of twisting motions, but through all of that, your head is staying very level, pointing at where you want to go. And it just so happens that where you go is where you want your footage also filming. So standard point and shoots like the Ace Pro 2, perfect for mounting on your helmet, and I still prefer that to this day. But the problem with these, when you mount them on your chest, sometimes your chest is not pointing where you want the camera to be pointing. You know, you get the camera all set up on the chest mount while you're sitting there on your bike, and you think you have it in a good position, but then you start riding, and especially when you stand up, your chest becomes very parallel to the seat. And obviously, when your chest is parallel to the seat, the camera is pointing straight down at the seat. And so a lot of your footage is basically just showing the gas tank, and the camera's really only pointing where you want it to go when you're sort of sitting straight up and down, which you're not doing that too often on a dirt bike, it turns out. The alternative is to mount the camera super pointed upright so that when you are standing or leaning forward, you're getting a good view. But of course then, in those certain scenarios where you are sitting straight up and down, you're basically shooting the sky. You have to compromise, like, do you want good footage in this scenario or do you want good footage in this scenario? I don't want to compromise, I want good footage all the time. And that is where Insta360 has really been a lifesaver with their line of 360 degree cameras, like their all new Insta360 X5. What makes these special and perfect for chest mounts is, as you can see, you have a lens on one side and a lens on the other side, and each of them captures 180 degrees field of view. And the software inside the camera stitches those two together so that no matter what orientation the camera is pointing, it's filming this huge bubble 360 degrees, filming absolutely everything. You get to pick and choose exactly what parts of that 360 degree bubble are displayed in the final production. When the X5 is mounted on my chest, and as I lean forward, the view that I can get for you guys is still pointing perfectly straight forward where my eyes are looking. Similarly, if I lean way backwards, I can pan the camera down in the software and still keep that perfect view. That is just insanely incredible for chest cam footage, and thank goodness for Insta360 for coming out with these 360 degree cameras. Basically saved the race day footage. They have increased the quality and the technology in these 360 degree cameras so much that anymore, I really can't tell tell a difference whenever I'm using the Ace Pro 2 or the Insta360 X5. The sensors have gotten bigger, the battery has gotten bigger, touch screens are better, audio, video quality. This thing shoots in 8K now, like that's insane. They have HDR modes, full manual controls, high bitrate modes, but there's a very special feature, the new X5, that makes it like perfect for motocross. One of the biggest flaws with 360-degree cameras is how vulnerable those lenses are. They just stick out really far, very prone to getting chipped with rocks and stuff. You can see this one's a little bit beat up, honestly. And with the new X5, they've actually come out with complete lens replacement kits. These are not just a protective lens like cover that goes over these things. It is a full-on lens replacement, and it's cheap. Like, it costs the same amount as getting some glass screen protectors for this, which is huge. I mean, this is an expensive camera, and when you scratch the lens, you don't want to just have to throw the thing away and buy another one for a couple $100. Like, that's what you used to have to do. But now you literally just take your scratched lens off, replace it with a new one, and it's like you're getting a brand new camera. And when you're racing professional motocross, that is like, that's gold, brother. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of that. So Insta360 X5 camera, that's what you're gonna want if you want your chest cam footage to look great. As for the settings, active HDR is enabled. I run mine in 5.7K and 30 frames per second. We go over to the other tab. You can see I just run the exposure settings pretty much on auto. I used to have to fiddle with them a lot, but Insta360 has gotten really good with their stock settings. And yeah, I just run it on pretty much full auto now. The only other thing you're gonna wanna do is work your way into the settings and find the bit rate and switch that over to capture in high bit rate. That's gonna make your footage look a lot better. Now, when it comes to mounting options, obviously you have the pretty standard chest strap with the elastic straps and the little, mounting plate on the front and back. The X5 has this nice little quick release mount there. So that's sort of just the easiest, most effective way to get it done. You can use this on the dirt bike or, mountain biking or just running around, doing whatever you really want to. Personally, I like to go as incognito as possible, and you can really tell when someone's wearing this whole harness, especially on the outside of the jersey. Jerseys are meant to be a little bit flowy, and this really just pins it down to you and kind of looks a little bit goofy. So I've come up with a little bit more of an incognito way to mount this, and some people don't even realize that I'm wearing anything, which is pretty nice. I wear an Alpine Stars A1 chest protector. It has all these little holes in it, as you can see, and I just take a standard J-hook mount and some zip ties, and I found some perfect holes that line up perfectly with the J-hook mount. I mean, I'm gonna be wearing a chest protector anyway, so why not just mount it to that and skip the whole chest mount? I also find that those elastic straps are a little bit bouncy sometimes. So if you're really seat bouncing something hard or hitting a hard G out, they can kind of stretch and let the camera flop around a little bit. Hopefully you have a chest protector that fits you well. And obviously this is quite a bit more secure than those elastic straps. So yeah, here's the setup. You know me though, I don't stop here. I like to wear my chest protector under my jersey. And so if you have an older jersey, you can go ahead and cut just a little slit in it right here, just so that the J-hook mount pokes right through. You see that? Then you can take the camera and mount it on the outside of your jersey, like so. You officially have the sleekest, most incognito setup in the game. I mean, look at that, dude. Obviously, you guys know it's there, but if you didn't know it was there, you might not notice it. So that's the ultimate setup if you're gonna be running a chest cam, and the footage turns out incredible. And of course, we got the Insta360 logo loud and proud right beneath the camera. Works out like a charm. One tip I will say, try and get the camera as high up on your chest as possible without interfering with your helmet at all. Like if you look straight down, you just want barely a little bit of clearance between the camera and the bottom of your helmet. You definitely want to try and get it as high above the handlebars as you can. So I guess if you wear FXR, smack in the center of the X is a good place to have it. When it comes to actually filming, super easy. I like to turn the quick capture on so that one press of the button here turns the camera on and starts recording. Blinking red now, that means that it is officially recording. Then you press the same button again, it stops recording and shuts the camera off. Makes it very simple and conserves on battery, which is nice. Pretty easy, turn it on, go do your moto, come back. And now I'll show you guys how to actually edit the footage in the apps, both on your phone if you're gonna be uploading to Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and on your computer if you're gonna be making like YouTube videos. So let's jump into the phone app. All right, once you have your phone connected, this bottom left is where you're gonna find all the footage. So let's go ahead and click on that. Click on the icon of whatever video it is that you wanna start editing. Here we're opening up some Southwick qualifying POV, pretty epic. There's a lot you can do here. As you can see, by default on your phone, it puts it in a vertical aspect ratio, which is great for Instagram and whatnot. But in the top right, you can click this little drop down and change it to 16:9 if you want, if you're gonna be making YouTube videos or whatnot. So one of the really cool parts of the 360-degree camera, you can kind of pick on demand, what aspect ratio you want it to be in. And you do it after the fact. You don't have to think about it beforehand, which is sweet. So we'll put that back into 9:16 because this is on our phone. And as you can see, you can just pan all around. You can just point the camera wherever you want it to go. So if you want it looking up at my face for some reason, we can have it looking up at my face. If you want it pointing forwards, you can point it forwards. Pretty incredible. The main thing that you want to make sure is turned on, if you hit this little gear icon in the top left, you want to make sure that direction lock is turned on. That's going to make it so that when you do pick an orientation on the camera, so for instance, it's pointing forward right now, you'll see when I go around a turn, like so, it's actually gonna pan the camera around with me. If you turn direction lock off, it's gonna lock onto a cardinal direction, like north, south, east, or west. And when you actually turn, it's just gonna stay pointing north, even though you're not going to the north anymore. So direction lock is gonna make it stick relative to you, not relative to the earth. But yeah, you can pan around, get it where you want it. You can pinch in or out to zoom in or out. You can get that perfect POV however you want it. And once you do have it where you want it, when you want to lock that in, there's this little like diamond with a plus sign, and that's what's called a keyframe. So when you hit that, it sort of locks in the position. So now when we play it, it's locked into this POV. Now, if you want to change things mid-video, you can create a new keyframe. So that one's still locked in how you had it before. And then you can move over just a little bit on the timeline below and pan to a new angle, hit the keyframe button again to update that keyframe, and now you'll see when you zoom back and hit play, it will pan the camera for you. I don't really mess with keyframes too often. I kind of just get it pointing forwards, and I'm happy with that because that's where I want you guys to be looking. However, if something happens off to my side and I want to highlight it, I will do a little keyframe pan over and show you guys that. Another cool thing you can do if you're like riding with your buddy, you can hit this tracking button down here. It's going to automatically highlight a couple targets for you, but you can just drag the box and highlight your own target that you want it to follow. But let's lock onto this guy and hit start tracking, and it's going to do its best to lock onto him and follow him for as long as it can. So we'll just let this go. Still locked onto him. And the camera's just kind of panning, doing its thing, making sure that the camera stays locked onto him. So we'll let this run its course. Looks like I end up passing him there, so we'll hit stop tracking, and then we will go back and watch what it does. So pretty cool. There's a lot of options with this thing. If you want to play around with it, you can really do some really cool stuff, but pretty epic how it's just tracking him, and definitely a cool feature if you're following one of your buddies around. Once you're happy with that, you trim it down to the length and then export it onto your phone, and you're good to put it on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. Those of you who are going to be using a computer, let's jump into the computer app. All right, so once you're in the computer app, very similar to the phone app, I kind of find this one a little bit easier to use, but you're gonna obviously wanna first locate your files. And again, here we have the same Southwick qualifying video. You have the timeline down beneath, just like on the phone app. You take your cursor, click and drag to pan the camera around. You can use the scroll wheel to zoom in and out, but you do have a little bit more options here. On this, direction lock is up here, this little camera icon in the top right corner. Make sure you put direction lock on. But on the computer app, the keyframes is this little plus sign right here. So once you kind of have the direction figured out, hit that plus sign to add a keyframe. You'll see it pop up down here on the timeline, and it gives you a bunch of options right here. So you have the pan angle left and right. You have the pan angle up and down. You can go in a complete circle if you want. Tilt angles left and right. And then you have the FOV control, and slightly different, you have distortion control. They're kind of similar, but a little bit different. As you can see, you can zoom way out, but if you go too far, you will enter the black zone. So it's really just personal preference, figuring out what combination of FOV and distortion that you like the most. most. But the Mega View and the Ultra View work pretty well for motocross. I personally like to zoom out just a little bit more from those, and you know, that's a pretty good angle right there. So we'll hit play and see how that looks. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good FOV. To trim the clip down so you're not exporting the entire file, it's gonna be these little white bars on the sides of the timeline. You just drag these both into the points that you want to export. And then when you're ready to export, you head up obviously to the export tab here, and this is where the settings are somewhat important. When it comes to making video look good, especially on YouTube where, you know, YouTube compression is pretty serious, you can have a really nice looking video, but then after you upload it to YouTube, it looks terrible. So the export settings can help minimize that YouTube compression, and this is what you are going to want to do. Obviously, choose where you want the video to save to and name it. You can name that preset whatever you want, but then here is the important part. Resolution. Make sure it's 3840 by 2160. That's 4K. So if you filmed in 4K, you obviously want to also export in 4K. And then for encoding format, ProRes 422 is going to retain the absolute most information and give you the best looking footage possible. I will warn you though, the file sizes are absolutely massive. So if you're running low on space, I would not recommend going ProRes 422, but if you're like me and you prioritize quality above everything else, ProRes 422 is what you are going to want to use. So you can see this tiny little clip is going to be almost 3 gigabytes large. You can try ProRes 422 LT, which is going to make the file a little bit smaller, so 1.9 gigabytes instead of 3 gigabytes. So you know, that definitely helps. But then if you go to the standard encoding profiles, you'll see the files are tiny. So if you don't really care too much about the quality, that's what you're gonna wanna do. And then you hit start export and you're good to rip. All right, so there you have it, guys. That is how I get my chest cam footage here on the channel, especially on race days. Obviously, if you guys are gonna be going to any AMA sanctioned events, whether they're just open rides, races, GNCCs, whatever it may be, you're gonna need to find a good chest cam solution. So I hope this video helped you figure that out. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. Huge thank you to Insta360 for making some freaking awesome cameras, as well as supporting the channel and helping us bring you guys the best content out there. If you're interested in an Insta360 camera, links will be down in the description below. Finally, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace out, ladies and gentlemen.
Faster, faster,